Talk about this event on the Morning Breeze. We will be having the team from the Uganda Revenue Authority, and today's particular discussion is going to focus on digital solutions that will enable business persons who have probably looked at tax over the time as a burden to continue looking at it in a totally different perspective. There are many Ugandans who still think that Uganda Revenue Authority's role is only at, coming and enforcing and collecting taxes and stifling businesses. But that is not exactly what URA is seeking to play. It is actually seeking to become an enabler of business, that you can be able to do business and gain profits and then be able to pay your taxes in a much more free way. And also, Uganda Revenue Authority is opening up avenues to ensure that you do business in a much more peaceful way. There are many people who have held back on business profiles and have lied many at times. There are options that you can be able to come out and speak about your business and speak about all the issues that you've probably kept secret in what Uganda Revenue Authority has called the voluntary disclosure. We'll be getting to know much more about that, remembering that I've continuously talked about this, that Uganda's tax base, looking at our tax register as of 30th October 2020, we had about 1.6 million taxpayers, and 1.3 million of those are individuals. We need to up this game, because if we are thinking about having to pay up or having to look at our budget by ourselves, then we have to pay our taxes. I know there is always a discussion about where do our taxes go, how are our taxes used. First, let's pay tax and then have the audacity to ask about how our taxes are being used. And without wasting any more time, I want to invite our distinguished panel of discussion today before we get to officially launch these digital solutions that are going to solve business in Uganda. And in no particular order, but in an organized manner, I will still start with the top man himself, the Commissioner General of the Uganda Revenue Authority, Mr. John Musingurizi Rujoki. I kindly do invite you to the podium right now. It's going to be an interesting discussion, also including a taxpayer at that. I will also have Ms. Julie Njuba Chiwanuka, who is the Assistant Commissioner, Business Policy. I do welcome you, Madam. Take to the podium and feel free to sit anywhere you would like to, exactly. I will also invite Mr. James Odong, the Acting Commissioner, Domestic Taxes. Mr. James Odong, you are very much welcome to this discussion, and we cannot wait to have a fruitful one at that. Mr. Abel Kagumire, who is the Commissioner, Customs Department, I do welcome you as well. Also want to remind our viewers that our COVID protocols are being followed to the dot. We still have COVID-19 with us. I also do invite Mr. Francis Otiama, who is the Managing Director, Jeroma Logistics Limited. And Mr. Francis Otiama will be letting us in on the benefits of, opening up, paying your taxes, and how he has done it. Sometimes we think that Uganda Revenue Authority, just puts up a show, and they do not have these testimonies of business owners that have taken up the initiatives that the Uganda Revenue Authority has introduced. And therefore, that is where we are going to have our discussion from. You can follow us on our different platforms. That is at NBS TV, on Twitter, NBS Television, on Facebook, and Next Media Services on YouTube. You can also follow at Uganda Revenue Authority. That is on Twitter, as we continue this discussion. And without wasting any more time, I will start off with you, Mr. Commissioner General. There is this campaign that many have seen probably as an advert on TV, or just had a hint about it, probably passing by the Uganda Revenue Authority. Many are asking, there's so many campaigns that have been launched by the Uganda Revenue Authority. Why this one in particular, and why is it being launched?
Thank you very much, Mildred. Dear listeners, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me start by thanking NBS for hosting us this morning, and for the strong partners that you've been in this journey of mobilizing revenue. Now, to answer the question, why this campaign of Kakasa, as a nation, we are at a time when we must start looking at how to solve our problems and not so much rely on foreign support. I think there are many events that have happened that have caused us to think about internal solutions rather than external solutions. And in the wisdom of our government, a strategy was developed to be rolled out over 5 years, mainly focusing on domestic revenue mobilization. And at the heart of the domestic revenue mobilization is some strategic interventions that must be made to increase the local revenue. Now, key to this is the Voluntary Disclosure campaign that you started with, where we are saying, let's encourage the citizens to come out and voluntarily disclose what they've been dealing in, what their businesses have been doing over the years, so that if there is any tax liability, it is paid without penalty. Penalty and interest is normally a very high business cost. And it's even money that you have not earned. It is a punishment for having hidden or ran away from your responsibility of paying tax. So we think that for us to get everybody on board, we don't have to start with penalizing. Let's educate our taxpayers, and if anyone finds that there is a part of their tax business that was not disclosed, they disclose voluntarily and they don't suffer the penalty. But also there are technology innovations that we've come up with. One of them is the electronic fiscalized receipting and invoicing system, IFRIS, which is saying file your returns and your sales on real time. Allow us to connect to your business enterprise so that when you're transacting, we have a copy of what you're doing. That way, it will help you to keep your records of your business accurately, because now you have put them in a digital format, but also it will ease your burden on filing returns, because you're trying to remember, what did I do on first, what did I do, because most of these tax heads are filed on a monthly. So on real time, we'll have a copy of your transactions, and you'll also keep an accurate record. And then the other one is the digital tracking solution, which is also especially applies to some of the manufacturers and importers who deal in goods that pay excise duty. That one, we use the digital stamp to track every product that comes out of the factory that is imported that pays excise duty. Now, that also helps in a way that even the manufacturers would have an accurate record of what they're producing, but also for the consumer, the taxpayer, anything that you'd find with a digital stamp on it, and some of the stamps are not very visible. I don't know if this water has paid stamp, but if it has paid excise duty, there will be a digital stamp somewhere.
Yeah, it's there. It's a code.
It's a code. Yeah. It's here.
Black, yeah.
So we are safe.
Okay, so you are safe. Once you are taking this water and you see the digital stamp,
Yes.
Some letters imprinted in the cover, you know that this is a genuine product. There is no chance that this product can be fake. So even for the taxpayer, there is a benefit. You're able to know that you are dealing, yes, there is a digital stamp here. With my glasses, I can see it clearly. So we are also protected as consumers. So these interventions are game changers. They have a benefit to the taxpayer. They have a benefit to the consumer, but they also have a benefit to government that will get accurate records of these business transactions. Okay. And that's why we've come out now through the Kakasa campaign to make these benefits known to our taxpayers as well as the citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rajoki. I'll be coming back to you. You talked about voluntary disclosure, which I would like to bring to Ms. Njuba Chiwanuka to expound more. Many out there are asking, what is voluntary disclosure, and why at this point in time is URA even deciding to think about voluntary disclosure? If I have been doing my business, you know, down there, probably someone wants to maintain it that particular way. They think you're probably canning and you're looking at something as Uganda Revenue Authority. Tell us much more about it.
Thank you very much, Mildred. Like the Commissioner General stated, voluntary disclosure really is what I would liken to coming clean. If we know and we are aware that a number of our taxpayers have not complied in the past, and maybe through misstatements, omissions, under declarations, whether inadvertently or intentionally. Now, you find that when you live in fear that I might be found out, you're not freed. So we realize that some of our taxpayers need this, what we call an amnesty. Come clean. Come clean. Why? It will make you free. You can start a fresh page. You can run your business without any fear of someone coming behind you to look after you or to come after you and destroy your business. And like the Commissioner General also stated, penalties and interest are a burden. This is not money you have worked for. So why we stated voluntary disclosure is so that our taxpayers can have an opportunity to come clean. And when you come clean, you will not pay penalty and you will not pay interest. However, voluntary disclosure should happen where we don't have information about you. For example, if you have already been someone, say for example, an investigation or an audit, that cannot be voluntary disclosure.
Becoming difficult there.
So voluntary disclosure comes without prompting by URA. If we have information about you, you're not disclosing something new to us. If you have already filed your returns and you have not paid up, that is not voluntary disclosure. This is information we already have. Okay. But if you have that information that you know you have not been very truthful, we're just giving you what you call an olive branch. Come clean, and when you come clean, we can assure you there will be no interest, there will be no penalty, but you will have to pay the principal tax. And once that is settled, the Commissioner General will issue a certificate to you, and you will be free, and you will move free. You will not have any hindrances on you.
I will interrupt you here a little bit, Ms. Julie Njoba. Okay. When you say, as long as we do not have information about you, does this mean that each and every business that you haven't yet contacted is free? Does it also mean that you do not have that information about them? Because I could have been working, you know, clandestinely like it has been, and you haven't probably come out to me, but you probably have already my details. Someone out there is trying to think the clarity about those who have already been, who URA already has information about, and those who they do not have.
Well, we have been issuing some taxpayers some letters of compliance, be it a compliance advisory or an intention to come and visit you. We tell you that we have, in our records, we've noted that some of your records are not really consistent. So we write to you a letter, what we call a compliance advisory, or we give you an intention to audit or investigation. That is already, we have already initiated that communication with you. But if we haven't, and you know it, then you're free to come out now before we actually come. And this, we started this initiative in 2019, July. Okay. However, it didn't take effect so much until after the lockdown. So with effect from July 2020, already taxpayers have come in. We've got about 36, and we've collected about 17.4 billion worth of taxes with no interest. Wow. People have come clean, and they are okay. They are happy. They are willing. And when you come clean, you are even given more benefits. You learn more. You learn to manage your taxes better, and you're not hampered by any way.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I know someone out there is thinking, how about that money they stole, that money they cheated, and yet they were still using the same resources like any other Ugandan. But I'll come back to you. Let me come to Mr. Ebo Kagumide here. The city did talk about some of the solutions that Uganda Revenue Authority is thinking about, including the digital tracking solution. Now, someone out there who hasn't used it is asking, what the hell is this? And then you're talking about digital stamps. How can one apply? How do they even look like for LA Ugandan out there? I am just buying a product. How do I even get to know what a digital stamp looks like?
Okay, thank you, Mildred, and dear people watching us. The digital tax stamps basically is, as in the name, digital tracking solution. These are tamper-proof stamps. Or they may be just in paper, or it could be numerical. Like you see, it's coded here.
Okay.
And basically it's to say that this product, which has gone through the production line, has been verified, and the taxes on that product have been paid. So it's a coded, it can be a paper, which is stamped, but it also can be numerical. And whenever they stamp on any product, it can be water, it can be beer, it can be wines and spirits, it can be cigarettes. So it means that that one has paid taxes. So for us at URA, we'll be able to follow through. And basically that's how I can explain a digital tracking solution. Okay. Before, in the production line, you would produce, and things go, then we find them at your store, and then we start counting how we should pay. Now, as it gets out of the production line, every bottle, we already know that it has paid taxes and it has been coded. So that is the stamp. And in the tax procedure code of 2014, the minister gazettes products. They can be imported products, they can be locally manufactured. So far, those are the ones we have: cigarettes, we have beers, we have water, we have wines and spirits, we have soda. So those ones must have those digital stamps. Okay. It can be manual, it can be digital. You can fix it manually, but you also, it's more expensive when you do it manually. But you can also fix it digital. It's faster. It's faster. And that means we're able to now not have to go to your premises, because we already know how much you have produced in a day, in a month, in a year, and we'll be able to compute taxes. And so easy, and it's easy for us to collect taxes that way.
Okay, how does one apply? And then there is the aspect of counterfeiting, because we've seen this a number of times. Even when the UNBS talks about their stamps, their certification, we've still received aspects of counterfeiting. How do I even, differentiate? And how are you planning as Uganda Revenue Authority to ensure that you can capture such culprits?
Oh, thank you so much, Mildred. Like you are aware, URA Customs is stationed at all borders. And basically, our role is to make sure that whatever is in the shop and whatever has entered the shop has this digital tax stamp. And it's coded. So for us, it's simple. We just come to your warehouse, we come to your store, we come to your shop, and we check, like the Commissioner General was checking whether this water has a stamp. If it doesn't have, then you did not pay. Simple. So we have to get it, and it's very expensive. Very expensive when we find you without it, because that means you have to pay penalties, you have to go through a lot, and that's why we are to tell Ugandans, please, don't buy these things which have been gazetted and should be having tax stamps, and you find you are selling them to Ugandans. We're also telling Ugandans who are buying, please don't buy, because when you buy, you're not helping us. That means you're buying things which are counterfeited. You're buying goods which have been either smuggled, you're buying goods which have not paid taxes. So you make our work easy before we come. You can even report to us that this one is beating us in the market. Yes, we are not selling. Me, I'm selling those with tax stamps. This one is selling those without. Yes. And we'll pick them and we'll penalize that person, because we want to be together. We want to be together and want all Ugandans to embrace this these solutions we have come up with.
All right, thank you very much. And it's lovely that I can be my neighbor's keeper by reporting. We can do that very well. And to come to you, Mr. James Odong, the Commissioner General also talked about another solution being introduced by the Uganda Revenue Authority, which is the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. For many, this would even be a very long word. That's why we've decided to call it EFRIS as Uganda Revenue Authority. But what is this? How does one enroll? How is it helpful anyway?
Okay, like the Commissioner General mentioned, it is a smart government solution that has been developed mainly to manage the issuance of invoices or receipts by the taxpayers. I would want to put this in context by probably first explaining to you the current environment under which most Ugandans operate in. As we speak, when you go to purchase something, someone just gives you a receipt, which is even just jotted down. You are not sure whether this is okay, whether it is as per required by the law in terms of the display of the receipt. So you'll get all sorts of receipts, or even if you send someone to buy for you something and you say, I want a receipt, someone can simply go to Nkrumah, pick those funny receipts, show you that that is a receipt. But what this solution is doing is trying to automate the receipting process by the taxpayer. The advantage is that the taxpayer will have documented information in a digital form, and that information will also be relayed to URA at a particular time that the transaction takes place. So when URA comes to interact with you, there is no need to ask for your documents in terms of the invoices and receipts. We already have them because the transmission is going to be real time. However, there is another important aspect in terms of the functionalities that is being provided for is the stock module. The stock module helps in terms of the client knowing, especially those who are dealing in goods, knowing what they have in stock in order to sell. So that one has also been automated in order to give a client or the business owner visibility into the entire business that he or she owns. So briefly, that is what the IFRI solution is about.
Someone out there is already picking up the idea and they're asking, how do I get to enroll onto this? And when did this start anyway?
Okay, the implementation of the solution started on the 1st July 2020. However, taxpayers cried out to URA and said they are not ready. They need more time to be prepared. So it was extended twice. First of all, from July to 1st October. Then 1st October, still they said we are not ready. So it was extended further to 1st January 2021. So as I speak now, 2021 is the effective date of rolling out this solution. How someone comes on board, first of all, I have to mention that the Commissioner General gazetted VAT registered taxpayers to be the first to come on board. So all the VAT registered taxpayers have been enrolled by default onto the solution. And in addition to those, we also have other taxpayers who are interested in using the solution and not necessarily registered for VAT, who have also enrolled to use the solution. And that is also welcome because it is facilitating them in their transaction, though in future, the plan is to accommodate all the taxpayers. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I'll be getting back to you. When I look at our board here, it says, Mr. Kapo here says, I guarantee that every business record of mine is captured and stored in real time. Every purchase and every sale, I am Kapo and I'm powered by EFRIS. Now, sometimes we talk about digital solutions and people out there thinking, is there anyone who has used them anyway? Is there any testimonial? Is there any experience? Let's get to speak to Mr. Francis Otiama, who is the Managing Director of Jeroma Logistics Limited. While many others were still asking for an extension because we are so much used to procrastination, we are not ready, even when the time comes, we ask for another extension. You seem to be one of the Ugandans or business owners who decided to just embrace it and take it up. What has been your experience? But first of all, many Ugandans would like to know who you are exactly. They may think you're part of, the Uganda Revenue Authority and you're just coming to sell out an idea.
Yes, good morning, viewers, my colleagues and NBS team. As Mildred has said, my name is Francis Otiama. I'm the Managing Director of Geroma Limited. I'm a compliant taxpayer. When this system came...
Feel free to adjust your microphone in any way, either forward or backward, so you can be comfortable. Thank you. Okay.
We got to know about this system around January. And we were called for training because at first we didn't understand what it was.
January 2020, 2021?
2020.
Okay.
That was when we got to know about the system. So they called us for the e-freeze training. And at first we didn't know what it was. As I've stated, we thought it was a human being because the name itself is captivating.
Yes.
So when we went for training, we were taken through the nitty-gritties on how to operate the system and how to get organized to ensure that we embrace the system. So we were trained. When we were trained as a company, we realized that the system which is in place is very good, it's a good system. So we said we are going to dive and capture the system. So we entered and started using the system. But my fellow taxpayers, I would like, first of all, to explain what this system is, because we are calling it e-freeze. We need to understand what it is, what e-freeze is all about. E-freeze, if I'm to talk about some of the key words, we have the word electronic. So it means we are using a device that uses electricity. So one of the devices we use is computers. We have to use computers in order to capture the information. So as a taxpayer, you have to ensure that you have the computer. So when you have the computer, that is when actually you can now operate the system. That is one thing. Also, you can use your phone to capture the information. Also, there's an FD, a financial device that you can use to capture the information. And again, have the information related to URA. So those are the few systems we use. So as a taxpayer, know that when you're talking about e-freeze, those are the few items you need to have. You should have a computer in place. You should be able also to buy data because this is a digital system and it is web-based. So those are the things we need to have. Then also we are talking about fiscal. So as taxpayers, at times we have some words that might be hard for us to embrace. We have the word fiscal, which means this is actually something relating to government revenue. These are taxes we pay to URA, or money we pay to URA. So when you hear the word e-freeze, you know that we're using the electronic system, and the F is fiscal, which is all about revenue you are paying to URA. Then also we have the term receipting. When you are using the system and you enter information correctly on URA system, then automatically a receipt is issued by the system. And also an invoice is issued. So those are the things I wanted as taxpayers, first of all, to understand that this is now the way to go. We have to use the e-freeze. So how were we operating before the new system? Before the new system, we were operating manually. And I came with a few documents we have been using.
Okay.
We have been, one of them is this. This is a booklet containing invoices. So we used to go to NASA Road and procure this document. But at the moment, we are not using this document. We are now going digital. Another one, we were using the receipts, a booklet like this. So all these were costly to us. And with the new system, we are no longer using this kind of manual documents. We are going digital. Then before that, we were also having some challenges in terms of wrong declaration. Because when you're doing business, you don't do business alone. You also have other players. So we are having wrong information at times coming from other players, our stakeholders. For example, if a stakeholder, a client, my client, declares wrong information to URA, it means that information will be captured onto the URA system, and then that very information will find that URA will take as if the information is coming from us. Take an example of an importation where a customer has paid 20 million. So when a customer has paid 20 million, since we are tax agents, when a taxpayer now is declaring to URA, they declare as if that money was paid to us. So when they're declaring to URA, they declare that we received, say, 20 million from Geroma Limited. Now, when they go to claim that money from URA, when they want that VAT to be refunded, URA will check whether Geroma Limited actually relayed that very information. So you find that if the information is not relayed, that is where now we have problems with URA, because URA will be tasking us to explain why a client paid money to us and we did not declare to URA. Then that one used to cause a lot of challenges. But with the new system, it is real time. If a client, for example, made any wrong declaration, I will get that information. And I will definitely ask the client why he has raised that particular information or relayed that information to URA. Then we have it corrected in time. Then another information I have to relay is that the old system, the manual system we are operating, was very costly. Because as I told you, this information, these booklets, you have to go and buy. So they all came at a cost. So at the moment, we are not going through those systems of going to NASA Road, placing an order, and then buying the book. So we are not doing that at the moment. So it has cut that cost, and it is a saving to us. Then also, we had high upfront costs. For example, before you start the system, the old system, you have to ensure that you have paper in place, but at the moment we are not using paper, we are going digital. We had to ensure that we had files in place. Now we are not buying those files. And then the locked cabinet, we are not buying them at the moment because every information is related to URA. So that one, it is ensuring that we operate a paperless environment, which is, to us, is very okay. Then also space. We have to ensure that we had enough space to store our documents. But at the moment, that space we have cut, and actually in most cases now, we work from home, because when you get the information, you generate the invoice, and when you generate an invoice, you don't have to call a client. The client automatically receives that information. Then another old system also was high administrative costs, because since you're operating a manual system, you have to train your employees on data management, record keeping, filing, indexing, but at the moment, that kind of cost is cut. Then the whole system also was time wasting.
Okay.
Imagine you are recording an information, getting information and recording on the invoice, you are recording manually. So by doing that, it's time wasting, because you have to record, then again you issue another document in form of receipts. But at the moment, we are not doing that. Then some information also could come with errors, because remember, some people have bad handwriting. For example, some people say doctors have bad handwriting. So imagine someone who has written something like that. So the person who is capturing information from the document, you find that he can generate a wrong report. Then the old system also, remember, we are using paper. It was leading also to environmental pollution. Remember, you have to keep this. Then after a certain time, you are supposed to destroy that particular document. So when you're burning the document, you are leading to environmental pollution. You're polluting the environment. So we are saying with the new system, we are not going through that. We are going to save, we are saving the environment, because we are not generating paperwork, we are not burning paper, but we are digitally operating.
Okay.
Can I continue on?
Well, I'll give you just a minute to continue before I get back to the other panelists.
Okay. So maybe I can stop there then.
I'll get back to you. Okay. Right, Mr. Otiama. I think for the people out there, we have a testimonial right here, and it's very interesting that we go through a number of these things and we do not know that the Uganda Revenue Authority has actually introduced solutions that can help us save all this time, save the paper, the costs, the administrative costs, and now COVID-19 did introduce to us working from home, and these are solutions that we can be able to use. But coming back to you, Mr. Rojoki, the Commissioner General, one out there looking, or the moment you mention Uganda Revenue Authority, they are thinking about these people who will come, they want their taxes. If I haven't paid, they're probably locking up my shop or something like that. But looking at these solutions that you are providing, you seem to be taking the approach of becoming a business enabler. Why this approach and not the other that many Ugandans would look at you in that kind of mirror?
Thank you, Mildred, for that question, and our listeners. The reason why we are taking the approach of enabling business and approaching our taxpayers with courtesy, with explanation, is because we realize that we cannot pull this off on our own. I mean, taxes, or paying tax, has never been an easy thing. Because it's a business, it's a cost to business. So people are naturally inclined not to pay tax than to pay tax. But with a bit of engagement in forums like these and many others that we will hold ahead, we want to explain the benefit of paying tax, so that you know that yes, it's a cost to me and to my business, but it's for a good cause. I like the approach of Francis as a taxpayer who has come to break down the nitty-gritty business benefits in embracing some of these initiatives. And tax only comes from profit. We do not tax your business capital. Now, if we don't enable you to do your business and you do it well, we can tax nothing if you're not profiting. But if you're struggling, we will also tax so little. So your growth is our benefit, because once you grow your business, then you pay more tax. So we have discovered that this is a journey that we must take together as taxpayers, as tax educators, and the tax education will be a joint effort. We'll have URA officials, but we also have business people like Francis who can speak to their colleagues and speak from practical experience on what it means to pay tax. And then, of course, the media team, like NBS and many others, we are looking at a joint partnership to rally all citizens and all business people in this country to support the noble task of paying taxes. It's not free of pain. There is an element of sacrifice, but it's worth it. And we must show the benefit of the taxes that people pay. Looking at the national statistics, our performance tax to GDP ratio is at 13%. Now that is quite low.
Sure.
It is even lower than the average for sub-Saharan Africa, which is at 16%. And it's much lower than the developed countries, which have a tax to GDP ratio of 30%. So really, for us to expect our nation to grow, to be self-sufficient, we must all get involved in this noble cause of paying taxes. And that's why at URA, we are committed, one, to breaking down these issues of how people can pay tax, to engage, to tax educate in forums like this, and we're going to do it on a sustainable basis, maybe on a monthly or a weekly basis, you know, depending on the invoice that you'll give us, Mildred.
Okay.
And my brother Kim, if the invoice is affordable, would like to have a weekly program
Yes.
on NBS, on NTV, in the papers, educating our taxpayers, because it's also a fact that many people do not pay tax because they don't know.
Yes.
They don't know they are supposed to pay tax. They don't know the benefit of paying tax. They think it is a burden. But with these engagements, we should simplify it and make it more attractive for people to pay tax. And that journey will take us far as a nation. Because our dream is that we'll be able to be self-sufficient as a nation.
True.
If our budget, like for this financial year, is 45 trillion, we raise it. So that if we are going to get any additional financing, is to do huge infrastructure projects that we can't do.
Okay.
And that way every citizen will see the benefit. Even now, when you look through, there is so much that we have achieved with our small collection. So let's improve that and we'll achieve more.
All right, thank you very much. As for the invoicing, I know Mr. Kinkaris and the sales team had very well. And to come back to you, Ms. Julie, talking about this voluntary disclosure, is there any particular process that I need to follow? Yeah. Or I just know URA hasn't given me any kind of notice, so I'll just walk to their offices. How do I go about it as a business person?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mildred. And to our listeners, there is a process. A person who would like to voluntarily disclose a misstatement or falsehood within their tax compliance, they will log on to our web portal. There is a form, a voluntary disclosure form.
Okay.
They will fill that form. And in particular, that form must be accurate. We need the particulars of the taxpayer, detailed particulars, your name, your TIN, and the period, physical location, and your postal address. And then, in that form, you'll also describe to us the nature of the offense, because you as the taxpayer, you know where there's been an omission, you know where there's been a misstatement, where there's been a falsehood, where there's been any under-declaration as far as your tax issues are concerned. Once you have stated that offense in detail, then you'll also give us the full documentation. Remember that on this form, there must be a declaration. And this declaration will be done by that person who is authorized. If it's a corporation, that person who is authorized to state that declaration on behalf of the corporation. If it's an individual, it will be that individual. Okay? If it's a partnership, still it will be either the partner or an authorized person, and the details of that person should be clearly stated as well. Why? Because we will get back and verify the information that you have submitted. That is the process. You go online. You can even write a letter to the Commissioner General. This is within the law. It is by the Commissioner General to give that permission to remove the tax, the interest and the penalty, and to grant a certificate once you have satisfied the voluntary disclosure requirements.
You know,
Yes.
I kept looking at you, and I was also thinking about what many Ugandans love to call godfathering. You know, someone who says, I know a bit of people, you know, I know Commissioner Ebo, I know the CG, so I can just call them and I'll continue with whatever I'm doing. I'll not do the voluntary disclosure and things like that. How do you confirm to Ugandans that this is not anything that Uganda Revenue Authority is thinking about, the so-called godfathering? How do you kakasa Ugandans like we are launching, you know, the kakasa campaign today?
Thank you, Mildred. I want to assure our listeners and anybody else who is viewing, I want to assure you that the process is very clear. Once it is filed online and a letter comes, there is only one office that will verify. And you're speaking to that office. So
I could start looking
verify.
at you in a good way now.
No, don't worry. There is openness, there is transparency, there is integrity, you can rest assured as you see, that is what you will get. You will get the right treatment. We will verify that information and we'll process it and then forward it to the right office, which is the Office of the Commissioner General, because he alone within the law is required to issue a voluntary disclosure certificate.
Okay.
If it does not satisfy the voluntary disclosure requirements, for example, we find that you have disclosed information which we already had. For example, because I handle this, I'll tell you that there are some voluntary disclosures that have come in, and we find that already this information is already a subject of an audit, and you are aware. A letter had been written to you to notify you that we are going to audit this period, or we have this information, please come clean. And you did not come clean, so an audit ensued. Now you want to come in and disclose. There we will tell you that, yes, we thank you for your disclosure. However, we had this information and already it's being audited and an assessment probably was already raised. So we will tactfully reject it, but we will communicate to you. However, the process is clean.
Okay.
There will be no side tracking here and there. It will be clear and precise.
There is a carrot and stick approach here. You do not just come and say, and yet they gave you an order much earlier on. Mr. James Odong, when the CJ was talking about EFRIS, he talked about something of connecting to the business interface. And a business person out there is thinking, where is my privacy when I'm dealing with my, stuff in the business, and then you want to connect because there is, the openness of Uganda Revenue Authority getting to know. I want you to address the aspect of privacy. To what extent would that interface be shared with the Uganda Revenue Authority if that is the case? And also, if I don't enroll for EFRIS, what are the penalties?
Okay, thank you, Mildred. The issue of privacy, first of all, the information we are getting through this solution is the same information that has been given to us in the returns that have been submitted in the prior years. The only thing now that we are doing is automating the whole process. So the information is received and it is well secured. We are very cognizant of the fact that we follow the data guidelines. Even in URA, we also have our own data framework within which we work to ensure that we ensure privacy of the information, and even access, even internally, in terms of how we use the data is highly restricted. It is only those who are authorized to use it that are the ones who use that data. Then in terms of the penalty, there are penalties that are related to not issuing the invoice, because as per the law, you are required to issue. So if you don't issue, there is a penalty related to that. There is also a penalty related to tampering of the solution, because this being a software, someone like in current environment, you know very well that some taxpayers usually have two sets of records, one to use for the taxman and the other one for private business. But in this case, someone may go ahead in terms of even finding ways of tampering with that solution. So if it's discovered, there's also a penalty related to that. Yeah.
All right, well, we know if we don't do many of this, they're helping us, and if you don't want to be helped, you will be helped by force somewhere, somehow. I want to come to you, Mr. Abel. And looking at these digital tracking solutions, what are the requirements? If you could just go through those quite quickly. And also, are there any penalties if I don't take this up?
Okay. Thank you, Mildred. We are now talking digital, and we are saying Ugandans, we need to go digital. This is the way to go. We are looking at an importer, whoever is involved in importation of goods, and whoever is involved in manufacturing. So as long as you're in that business, then you need to register. You need to register with URA, at the URA portal. HTTP, they know most of them. URA at ura.go.ug. So you'll go to services, and then it will be very clear, and it will guide you on how to apply. Now, after you have registered, then you need to order. Now, remember, if you are importing, you can fix these stamps where you are importing your goods from, whether it's China, whether it's Dubai, anywhere in the factory, if they have the digital tracking solution. So you can fix stamps from there, and your goods can come when they already have stamps. So you order for these stamps. We have a service provider in Uganda. It's called CISPA, Uganda Limited. So you order for how many do you want? How much goods do you want to import? How much are you manufacturing on a daily basis? You'd be having your projections. After you have ordered and they've given you the number of stamps you want, then you send an authorized agent to come and pick them.
Okay.
Yeah, you come to CISPA office, is our service provider. You pick those stamps, and then you go and fix them manually, for those who are still in a manual environment. But those which are digital, immediately we upload on the system which is at your factory, and you'll be able to read all the stamps. And then you start your process of manufacturing. So we do the activation after on the system, and then the process starts running, as simple as that. And now we have those, of course, like you said, on penalties. There are those who have actually refused to comply. And of course, like the Commissioner General says, we are trying to request Ugandans, can you comply and make taxation easy? Make it easy for us to collect taxes. So those who are not complying now, there are penalties, penal taxes that you pay. If we find you without tax stamps, you should be able to pay 50 millions or half of the value of those goods we found without tax stamps. It's a lot of money. So whichever is higher, 50 million, if it is lower, we count the goods without the stamps or the codes, and then you pay us 50%. And that's high, it eats into your business. So it's better to comply. If we find goods have entered and you're selling them, we ask, where did you buy them from? Because they must have been manufactured, or they must have been imported. Usually we don't start with the end user. We go to the one who manufactured, and that wholesaler. Why did you bring in these goods without stamps? And yet they are gazetted to have stamps. So that is the process. The penalty is a bit high, but we want to request Ugandans to comply. We have found some, of course, lack knowledge. We have just started. This is about 2 years. So we are trying to do a lot of sensitization, including this. We go around and talk to our taxpayers. Some people are still selling cigarettes without tax stamps. Yes, and this process started long time ago. You're in the shop, you are selling cigarettes, they don't have a tax stamp. It means they did not pay taxes. They are smuggled. So usually we start with the end user and say, tell us, where did you buy from? Yeah. Because usually these end users are not the biggest problem. Then we tell them, next time, don't buy. Then we deal with the one who sold to those people. That's the approach we are taking, slowly, and we'll get to have all Ugandans complying with these digital tracking solutions.
Thank you very much. Mr. James Odong had something to add to that. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add on something related to what Francis has said. The avenues through which taxpayers are availed to interact with us with the IFRI solution. The first one, we also first consider what the taxpayer has in terms of issuing of their receipts and invoices. There are some who already have automated systems.
Okay.
So that category of taxpayer is not required to procure a new system. What that one is required to do is to upgrade his system to take into consideration the requirements that we give them, so that they simply integrate with the IFRS solution and they will continue issuing their invoices. The key thing is that that solution will be picking what we call a fiscal document number, verification code, and the QR code, which are attached on their existing invoices. And then they will continue issuing as they have been doing. Then the next approach is the web portal. Like Francis has said, you need a computer. You just log on onto the URA web portal, you go into your account, and you start issuing your invoices based on what you are transacting. Then we also have what we call the client application. That app, again, is available on the web portal, which you can download and upload onto your computer or laptop, and you use it also for issuing invoices. We're also working hard to ensure that we avail applications for the mobile phones, the smartphones. For your information, the statistics from UCC show that over 6.6 million Ugandans use smartphones on a monthly basis. So we are also looking at that avenue to ensure that taxpayers can also be able to use their smartphones to issue the invoices. Then there are those who don't have smartphones, but they have the non-smartphones. We are also providing for them through using of a USSD code that will enable them to transact even on those non-smartphones. Then finally, he mentioned the EFDs. These are gadgets which have got the same application like we have on the computers and whatnot. But just because it's a gadget which you have to use in terms of issuing the receipts, the only difference is that this gadget will be purchased by the taxpayer. These other options are free, but for the gadgets you have to purchase. So as and when you avail those ones, the taxpayers will be able to purchase them and use them. Then how they come on board, first of all, the registration. I earlier mentioned that registration by default, all VAT registered taxpayers have been brought on board on IFRS. So what they will have to do for those who deal in goods, first of all, is to configure their products based on their IFRS product list that is available on the solution, to ensure that whatever they are going to sell is on their solution and in their account. After they have done that, I know usually most taxpayers have a problem around this area, but we have a fully fledged team in URA that is guiding taxpayers through that process. When they get in touch with us, we assist them and educate them, or we even enable them on how to go about that. Now, the next is the stock module, where they now stock in their products after they have configured them. And once they have finished the stocking, the taxpayer is now ready to issue the invoice. Okay. Besides that, if a taxpayer issues, there's an error in the invoice, the taxpayer can also be able to issue a credit note. The only difference is that the credit note in this case, in the case of business to business, it will be approved by the person whom you originally sold to in order for it to be effective. Then besides that, we provide various reports in the solution for the taxpayers that they can use in terms of even understanding their transactions and in terms of preparing themselves to eventually submit their returns at the end of the tax period. So those are the key areas in terms of coming on board. And we have availed all the required information in respect to all those items that I've mentioned on our web portal. The taxpayer can go there and get all the required information. There are also videos which have been downloaded even on YouTube that the taxpayer can use to get more knowledge, as much knowledge as possible. Okay. Besides that, all our offices across the country are available to serve the clients. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And it is that much simple. Lots of options that have actually been provided. But maybe before we get to understand Kakasa and probably the CJ gets to launch this campaign officially, I would like to come to you, Mr. Otiama. As an IT student, I know that every solution always has a few issues that we can be able to upgrade and add out. Do you think that there are some suggestions that you would put to the Uganda Revenue Authority in your experience using IFRIS that you need to either be made better or something that you feel should be added, but also your word to the other taxpayers?
Okay. The new system, as I've already said, it is user-friendly. And if you belong to SME, then it means this is the way to go. For us, we tried to come up with a system to capture taxes and to make our data analysis easier, but it wasn't easy because whatever they developed was very slow in the first place. It was a heavy system, so we failed to use it. And also it came at a cost. It was costly. But with the IFRIS system, first of all, it is free. And it is helping you to capture data. So I find that IFRIS is user-friendly. The only thing is that there are certain fields that on the system that URA has to create for easy analysis of report and for easy reporting. I think this one now will require another engagement whereby we sit with them, then we tell them what we are going through, the pains we are going through, and how they can adjust accordingly.
Okay.
Then to maybe URA and government, the system we are using now requires procurement of computers. And since we need to buy computers for business purposes, we are collecting taxes on behalf of government, then it means that the government, maybe through URA, should exempt taxes on computers, because these are now key requirements that we need to buy. So I feel that if possible, government should exempt taxes on computers again, because these are now very vital items we need to have. That's what I can say. Then maybe to fellow taxpayers, the system we are having at the moment as a company, we find it very easy to navigate and to use because it simplifies the reporting, it saves time, and also it is not costly. So to me, I would plead with my fellow taxpayers to embrace the system, especially the SMEs, because it is hard to develop a system that can help you to capture information related to URA, and then at the end of it all, analyze and give reports. So I think it's a good system. Then also in terms of disputes with the revenue authority, I think the new system, it is capable to avert certain disputes that can arise in form of maybe wrong reporting, and also if you want to claim your taxes, it is easy if you use the new system. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to that discussion. And then URA will give a report on the advancements that have come through and the enhancements. And to you, CJ, before we launch this beautiful campaign right here, many Ugandans believe, well, it seems to be the reality that our tax register is still quite small, and so there are just a few businesses that are paying taxes. And some believe that there are more and more taxes, or the businesses are overtaxed, and that is stifling them in the market. This is just a belief, and many are asking, is this campaign going to help them in any way? How does it solve this?
Okay, thank you, Mildred. Certainly, it's true, as you rightly stated, we have about 1.7 million registered taxpayers. Out of that, the companies are about 130,000, so meaning less than 10% are companies, about 1 million are individual taxpayers, but we are a population of 45 million Ugandans plus. So it's true that our tax register is small, but we're expanding it. We are beginning with tax education. We think it will improve the knowledge of people to know who should pay tax, which ultimately zeroes to almost every citizen, and then the benefits of paying tax. But after that, we'll have a physical effort to register taxpayers. One of the things that will come on board very soon are mobile tax registration offices. We have, with the help of some partners, we are procuring some buses which will move even places where we don't have offices, just to sensitize people and register them. So we speak to you. Once you learn, you get registered. Like we do in the church, we speak to you. Once you accept, you're baptized and you enter the heart of Christ.
Okay.
We want everyone to enter the register of good citizens who pay tax. But let me quickly comment on Francis's point.
Yes.
I think the computers are already tax exempt.
Okay.
So no one should fear to buy a computer that there is tax on it. But also, number two, we are approaching this IFRIS in a phased manner. We are starting with VAT registered. Now, to some extent, we want our people who are running small businesses to take time to understand the system, to prepare themselves either to get a smartphone or even as we develop the solutions on Katochi, where you can use your Katochi to file, we will do that. So we are mindful that some businesses are small, they don't have these gadgets, and we don't want to rush them. So we will start with the big ones. You know, to be on VAT register, you must be above a certain threshold, so that by the time we reach the small people, they are prepared. But the benefit you just mentioned of getting your refunds almost on time, I'm sure, Mildred, you've traveled, and many of us who have been in other countries, you go in a shop, when you're purchasing, they say, are you a foreigner? Do you want a tax receipt? Now, that tax receipt they ask you is the fiscalized receipt. Once they give you that, it means you're not going to pay tax on the items you're buying. But because their system is configured in such a way that you must first pay, now you present that at the airport, and then at the airport they give you your refund, because you're not supposed to pay tax in that country. Now, that is the benefit of this IFRIS. On real-time, URA gets to know, this one has purchased this item, and on it there is a tax of this %. And Civil Aviation gets to know, so that by the time you're exiting the airport, you can get your tax refund. So really, this is the way to go. The benefits are many, and the earlier we get on board, the better. But also very quickly, you asked a question earlier on, does URA know? URA knows. This Kakasa word is real. We know who is paying tax, we know who is not paying tax. There's a time when I signed a few letters.
For us or something?
No. That's why we are talking about voluntary disclosure.
Yes.
And we are mindful of the times we are in. We are still struggling with COVID. We've just come through a political cycle. So there's a time I signed off a few letters. I don't think there were more than 100. And every response I got was, at Commissioner General, this is COVID. Our accountants are not here. We have so much information. We know what you import.
Yes.
We know what you claim to sell. So I think in the spirit of moving together and not penalizing anybody, don't wait for us to come and do an audit. Julie explained this well. Once we've come to do an audit, once we've written to you, you can't do a voluntary disclosure. Embrace this and know. Technology has enabled us to know much. There's artificial intelligence, there's blockchain. Everyone who knows what technology can do, they know that we know. You cannot continue to say my houses are not occupied, there is satellite imagery. We will know, and we know. But the best way to do this, let's comply so that we don't suffer the penalty. And then as we embark on this journey together with education, with voluntary disclosure, with utilization of technology, we will improve these numbers and we'll be able to collect much more revenue. Thank you.
That's very true. Thank you very much. URA knows, so if you still think they haven't issued because they don't know, the information is there. CG, I would like you to officially launch our Kakasa, and we'll have some infographics that will play in just a bit. I will request you to officially call for our infographics, Mr. Commissioner General, which will play right here before. Yeah, you can do that seated, then we'll sign our commitment board. Yeah, you can call for this. Yes, it is the official way of, launching the Kakasa drive.
Okay. Thank you, Mildred. Kakasa campaign. I think I need to get somewhere where I can.
Maybe we can get a handheld microphone. We'll make sure that we sanitize it following our COVID protocols. Ian is helping us with that, and there is a sanitizer just before you can be able to do that.
Thank you. Kakasa, you are in charge. I take care of my clients by ensuring that every soda, beer, mineral water, wine, spirit, and cigarette packet that I stock comes with a digital stamp. My product's authenticity is powered by DTS, Digital Tracking Solution.
Thank you very much, and the team will officially give us the info that we need on the screen right here. And of course, the Kakasa campaign has officially been launched right here at the Next Conference Center. And we will have Mr. Ian Romanyika, who is the acting Assistant Commissioner of Public and Corporate Affairs, to explain to us about this Kapo. I have a friend called Kapo, so I thought he was exactly the one you put into a cartoon form.
Yes, thank you, Mildred. Good morning, taxpayers and colleagues. Kapo is a businessman. You can see he's a very happy man. But also, Kapo has tested the pains of being non-compliant, but also has tested the benefits of being compliant. So Kapo will take us on a journey in the next 5 months, and he will be able to testify how he has been able to be compliant and the benefits of being compliant, and the pains he faced of being non-compliant. Kapo is a mentor in business. He will mentor us on his journey, but also he will teach us so many things through how he has been able to do business in a very authentic manner. Kapo owns a beer company, so he will tell us how he has complied with digital tax stamps and making sure that every product he produces out of that factory has been stamped. But also Kapo here, you can see he's really a happy businessman around town. He has a supermarket. That supermarket, he ensures that every receipt he issues or every invoice, it is physicalized. And he will tell us how he has been able to benefit from that. It's just like Francis has been able to tell us. But also Kapo here has good sleep every night because he has been able to declare to Julie here every penalty has been forgiven and interest, and he's been able to pay his principal tax clean. So he has no worries, and he will be able to tell us that on the journey. He will be in your living room, he will be on your phones, he will be everywhere, and he will be able to mentor and give us some tax tips that will enable us to be compliant. Ladies and gentlemen, Kapo, your man, your friend.
much. Thank you very much, Ian. We now understand who Kapo is. We've been looking at this multicolored man who looks to be extremely rich and vibrant. So we now definitely understand. And to the viewers, definitely, all the URA offices are very, very open to ensure that all that we've been talking about, you can be able to get all the information that you need. But before we go, we need to sign a commitment board to ensure that whatever we've talked about, as Uganda Revenue Authority, they will comply with what they're saying, but also we as taxpayers, we will be able to follow up with the solutions that they've given. There is a saying that if you don't want to change, change will change you. So let me invite Esther Odora to bring to us our commitment board, and with the help from the URA team. This is a commitment board that we will be signing, that we are a country that needs to be financing our budget fully, 100%. And then, like the CG said, all the other much bigger projects are what we can be able to borrow for. You've had so many people continuously talking about our debt to GDP ratio, and you know, those statistical issues and the words that seem very, very economic. But we will make sure that we work together with Uganda Revenue Authority, like the CG said. We cannot do this. They cannot do this alone, and we cannot, as well as business persons, do this by ourselves. So I will invite, first of all, we'll make sure that our sanitizers are very ready. We are maintaining all our COVID protocols. We will invite, first of all, the Commissioner General to sign the commitment board, and we'll have all our panelists as well, one by one, signing to our commitment board, committing to everything that we've discussed here, and ensuring that we all, CJ, you can come through. We will ensure that we all can work together to bring about development in our country. Yes, the taxes do, our taxes do matter very, very much. And the questions that continue to come through of what our taxes doing and all that will be answered when we all continue to comply. The people, especially who are in the informal sector, you can as well come through. Formalize. Let's all pay taxes. Let's make our country a better place, because you need the education system. I will have Abel, I will have Julie as well. We will one by one go and sign this commitment board. We need the good schools. We need the very good roads. We need the health system sorted. This all is very possible when we get to pay our taxes. A lot that URA is trying to clean up and ensure that we all can be able to play our part. Play your part. Let Uganda Revenue Authority as well play their part. We have all been affected by COVID-19. That is why Uganda Revenue Authorities as well, you know, looking at all these issues as they do come through. Do not think they're blind. But also I just want to remind you that if you're hiding, URA knows. They have all your data, and very soon they will be coming to you. So we are signing our commitment board as we launch this Kakasa. You're in charge. Make sure that you are using the, you know, the systems that have been put in place to really make business a very easy one for you. Use you can use the digital tracking system. You can use IFRIS, which is the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution right there. Currently, according to the URA statistics, Uganda is funding about 47% of the national budget, with a tax to GDP ratio of about 13%. Like the Commissioner General said, this is extremely low. It's lower than the sub-Saharan percentage of 16%, and we want to increase this. I want to live in a Uganda, or my grandchildren or my children, where we'll have a tax to GDP ratio that will say doubled over the last years. We've had our panel. We'll have, as we get out of this, we will have all our other guests right in here at the conference center as well get to sign. But probably just before we leave, I'll have just 30 seconds to each of our panelists, and I'll start from my immediate left to just wind up your final remarks and your word to the Ugandans out there. Feel free to remain as our bodyguards here with our commitment form, please.
Thank you, Mildred, and to all our viewers and listeners. I want to really request Ugandans that we are in this together. The digital solutions URA is coming up with are really helping us to collect taxes for national development, and want you to make it easy for us as tax collectors. There are so many benefits that come with this. You'll be able to identify and track and trace your goods in time, and you're going to also improve your record keeping. Your record keeping and you'll make it easier for us also to track and trace what you're doing for us to support you. So I want to request Ugandans to support the digital solutions we've come up with, the DTS and IFRIS. It is for the benefit of all of us and for you to do business very well in Uganda. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to you, Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Mildred. I would also want to add on to urge all our esteemed taxpayers to come on board. This, as Francis earlier mentioned, is designed to enable them to do their business without a hassle, to simplify processes for them. They stand a lot to gain from embracing this solution. What Francis was mentioning is not something that is just doing it for the purpose of publicizing this, but it is true. They stand to benefit a lot. We encourage them as much as possible. As URA, we are very ready to serve any client who wants to find out about anything about these implementations. We are ready to serve them. We are willing to go the journey with them. And indeed, they will stand to count the benefits after they have come on board.
Thank you very much. Julie, your final remarks.
Thank you very much. There is nothing as good as peace of mind. When you come out, esteemed clients, to voluntarily disclose any misdoings in the past, you will have a peace of mind thereafter. So I would like to encourage all our viewers and listeners, our clients, please embrace the voluntary disclosure program. Yes, the Commissioner General said we know, but we are giving you a chance to come out and declare, and you will have a peace of mind. Remember, you can submit that voluntary disclosure form at ura.services.ura.ug, or you can deliver that form to any URA office, and it will be received and you will be handled. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Otiama. Your final remarks in about a few seconds.
Yes, fellow taxpayers, the world has changed. We are now talking about a digital world, and everything now is scientific. As we have had, and we are still going through, we have had scientific weddings. We now have scientific greetings whereby you use your elbow. We are going digital. So if we lag behind, if we don't digitalize, it means we are going to lag behind. Because we are now doing e-business, whereby you sit in your sitting room, on your bed, you can still do business. So I encourage you to digitalize, to embrace the systems that URA has come up with, because for us, we are using the system and we sleep peacefully. So I encourage all of us, the taxpayers, to go digital, to embrace the systems that URA has come up with. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And finally, we will have the Commissioner General.
Thank you very much, Mildred, for the good moderation of this session. Thanks to the management and the owners, the directors of NBS for giving us this opportunity to interact with our taxpayers. The time is short. Would have wanted to discuss a little more, but time is limited, but we promise we'll come again. We want to commit to this on a sustainable basis so that our message is clear to our taxpayers. But I also want to encourage our dear taxpayers to reach us on all sorts of channels. We are working on an integrated communication system, which should be launched maybe sometime in June, where we'll be able to receive all your comments, all your complaints, all your questions from all sorts of platforms, and we respond to them efficiently. But even now, we have a number of ways in which you can reach us. One is through our website, www.ura.go.ug. We also have call center lines, toll-free lines, which you can reach us on. One is 0800 217 000. Another one is 0800 117 000. These lines work for about 18 hours. So until about 11 in the night, you'll be able to reach us and we'll provide you support. But also our doors are open. Anytime our taxpayers, you take the first call on our time, please come and engage. And like all new systems, there is time to adopt. So I'm not saying you'll find IFRIS hassle-free. Maybe you'll need some technical support we will provide. Odong already mentioned, we have a dedicated team online to support anybody getting on IFRIS. Same with digital tracking. So we are available. Walk in, call in, email, and we'll be able to respond. Finally, a lot of thanks to our taxpayers. You have done a great job in supporting us to build the nation together. Do not relent. We, on our part as URA, we commit to serve you faithfully, to handle your taxes transparently and faithfully. We will make sure that whatever penny you contribute in payment of taxes will go towards building the nation. And of course, I thank NBS team again for hosting us today and the URA team for the great work we are doing to serve the nation. Thank you. May God bless you. Let's build Uganda together.
And that's exactly it. That brings us to the end of our discussion this morning. I totally agree that we would want it to even have the entire day to have this discussion, because our goal, all of us, just like Uganda Revenue Authority, is developing Uganda together. Thank you for being a part of this. Good morning and God bless you.